Hi, I'm Valentina V, and if you want to learn Adobe Premiere Pro from the very beginning, you have clicked on the right video. My goal is to be able to get you up to speed in less than 3 hours, which I know is a tall order, but I've done it before, and we will do it right now. And don't worry, I'm not just leaving you stranded. I am also providing you the assets that I'm working with. So in the description, you can actually download all of the same files that I'm using and you can follow along with me. Not only that, but I have written an entire booklet of every single hotkey, cheat sheet, everything you need to know, terminology, it's all in there and you can download that for free as well. We're gonna edit 2 videos. One of them is this video about how to make a craft project about art that lights up from the back. It's just a few clips, there's music and some text. And the second video is an exploration of what is in my tool bag when I go to set, because I am a working director and cinematographer in Los Angeles. The second one is much more complicated. There's 3 cameras, separate audio that we have to sync, and graphics that we have to create, and a lot of other things that we're gonna learn. But I promise it's actually not that hard. One thing that I want to get ahead of before we even start is how to navigate the timeline. So this is the timeline. I navigate it by moving this play indicator from left to right. And as I move it, the image above changes. So it shows me what I'm playing through, right? And time goes in a linear fashion. So this is the beginning of the video and this is the end of the video. I can navigate the timeline by zooming in and out by using this bar here and pushing these 2 points closer or farther left to right. And to play and pause, I can go over here and I can press the play button and then it turns into a pause button, or I can simply just press the space bar on my keyboard. Okay, now let's rewind and go to the beginning. This is how I organize all of my files. It's by the date underscore what it is. And then when you go into it, you can see all of the different folders here. And the folders are the same no matter what I'm looking at, no matter what project I'm doing. I think that that is super, super important to maintain that same file structure. And the way that I maintain it is I have this little demo folder here. So it has all of my subfolders. So every time I make a new project, all I do is I duplicate this demo, copy paste, and then I rename the copy. So if I renamed it for today, for example, I would say 2023-06-10 underscore demo for tutorial. There we go. And then I have all of these folders here. What you are going to be receiving is the footage folder and the audio folder. You won't get any of these other folders because they're empty. You need to make them yourself. But the footage folder is going to have all of these clips in there, and let's just take a look at them for a sec. So some of these clips are going to be called LUA. So that is the light up art project that we're going to be doing. Then we have the name of the camera. So we have camera A, camera B, and then the number of the take that we are on, or the number of the clip that it is. So the clips go in order 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll also see the what's in my bag project. And it's the same thing. We have A, B, and C. For right now, for the first project that we're doing, I don't want you to pay attention at all to the what's in my bag clips, okay? We're only working with the LUA clips first. We also have the audio folder, which has 4 audio files here. You don't have to worry about them yet, okay? That is for later, so don't worry. I'm just showing you where they are. Let's open Premiere Pro. Okay, so this is what Premiere looks like when you first open it, and right here you'll notice I have a bunch of stuff. Don't worry about any of that. Those are previous projects that I've edited and they show up here for ease of use. Yours will probably be empty. What you really want to pay attention to are here we have new project and open project. These are going to be the 2 buttons that you're going to be working with. And of course, because we've never made a project before, we're not opening one. So we're going to go to new project, select that. And now you are in the import workspace. You can see it's actually kind of showing the clips from the latest project that you worked on or edited. It's not showing the clips from the project that you're about to be working on or about to be editing. So go ahead and go to your computer wherever you save those files and find those, which for me is on the hard drive Valentina 14. Go over here to tutorial, footage. And now I have all of my footage loading into here. I can also go ahead and start creating the project up here. So I'm gonna have to find where the project location is first, meaning when we are editing, we create a file, and that file is our project file, our Premiere Pro project. That is what we save and then what we open up again when we want to access the project again. Luckily, when I create my folders on my computer, I actually create a folder that's called Premiere, and that's where my Premiere project lives. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that over here. Choose location, Premiere. So I'm going to select that folder, and I'm going to choose a project name. For the project name, I'm going to say Light Up Art. Now we have a bunch of import settings here, which are good for if you are trying to just do something really, really quick. For me, I like to do everything bespoke. I like to do everything from scratch. Now, what do I mean? Well, let's say that I do have new bin and new sequence selected, and I go ahead and I select the clips. I can either select them one by one, or I can select the one of them, press Shift, select the last one, and selects everything in between. I can keep going, select all the LUA clips, right? All the clips that say Lua, Light Up Art, and ignore all of the other ones. So I can go ahead and do that. And you can see as I selected them, they actually show up down here in the order that I selected them. If I click create, let's see what happens. It has created a sequence with all of our clips. It's put them into that sequence in order. It's also created a bin with all of our clips in the bin. But I feel like this is maybe a little too confusing. So here's what would have happened if I had not selected create new sequence or create new bin. I'm just gonna delete everything in here. When you open up Premiere Pro for the first time, this is what it's actually going to look like. And you basically have 4 main windows that you're working with. You have your project window, your source window, your program window, and your timeline window, or that's where your sequences are. Now, your project window, this is where you keep all your media, right? So this is like your Finder or your File Explorer. This is where you organize and keep things. Now your source window right here, that is where you preview your media. So before putting it into the project, you can pull it up there and kind of have a preview of what it's going to look like or what portion of it you need to grab. You also have your timeline over here, which is where your project will be built. So this is where your clips will be in order, and you'll be able to view your timeline in your program window. So it actually makes a lot of sense. You can view your clips, your individual media clips in your source window, and you can view your timeline, which is your project once the clips are put together, in your program window. Couple more things to take a look at. Here you have your tool bar. This is how you switch from one tool to the other. So you can either switch by clicking on it like this, pretty easy. Or if you hover over it, it'll actually show you what the shortcut is and what the tool does. So it says selection tool V. This one says track select forward tool A. So if I just press A on my keyboard, it'll change to that. If I press V on my keyboard, it'll change to that. The tool at the top, the selection tool, is the one you're going to be using most often. So I would say definitely remember V as a shortcut because you're going to be using it quite a lot. And lastly, what's going to pop up here is your decibel scale. So this is going to tell you how loud your video is. And oftentimes, I don't know about you, I don't like to rely on my ears to tell me how loud things are. I look at the decibel scale and I make sure that my video is hitting around over here, -12 decibels. Between -12 and -6, this is like the sweet spot right here for a video to be sounding good. If it goes over here, that means it's clipping, it's too loud. If it's hitting over here at like -45, it's too quiet. So those are the basic windows within Premiere Pro, but sometimes they might get a little funky, right? You might accidentally touch something and mess it up, because these windows can actually go anywhere, in any way, in any order, and be rearranged. This is super, super helpful for if you have more than one monitor or you have a particular way of working. But the problem is they can get all jumbled up and you can get confused. You're like, oh no, where was that thing? And you don't know how to get back to the place where you were at. So just go to Window, Workspaces, and reset to saved layout. You can see all of the different types of windows are up here. So there's more than just 4. There's a lot that can pop up, but the 4 basic ones are over here in the editing layout. So just go to reset to saved layout and it'll go back to the way it was before, so you don't get confused. So right now we are in the edit tab, but we were in the import tab before. So if we wanted to go back to the import tab, we just have to go to import and everything is still here, right? There's also the export tab, which is for when you actually have made your video and you want to now glue it all together and put it as one file on your computer. You go to the export tab to do that. Soon to come. I already showed you how to put clips in using import mode, but for me personally, I like to put them in within the edit tab by going over here and double clicking. So you can double click anywhere in the project window, double click, and it'll pull up your computer, your file explorer. So now you can go into that folder with footage and you can select all the LUA clips. Again, I'm selecting the first one, I'm holding down Shift, selecting the last one, and they all pop up, and I can go open. And here they all are. Right now, I am in list view. You can see down here, list view. And list view is super helpful because list view tells you things about your video that you might need to know, like the frame rate, the duration, etc. There's even more over here on the right side that you may not see unless you go on this little scroll bar down here. But you might want to see the thumbnails too. So if you want to see the thumbnails, you can go over here to icon view instead. And now it populates with all of the thumbnails from the video, but you can see that they're in a weird order. If you want to order them by the way that you shot them, presumably they're all numerical. So go down here to this menu and you can sort the icons by name. So now they're all in a row. Another thing you can do if you want to make this window bigger and see more of them is you can just hover between windows and increase the size. You can also go down here and increase the size of the thumbnails themselves. If you want to preview what's within a thumbnail, all you have to do is hover over it, right to left. This is called hover scrubbing. And you can scrub through the clip very quickly to kind of get an idea of what's inside there. If we go back to list view, let's arrange this a little bit. First, let's see all of the details about each clip on the screen at the same time. So if I press the tilde key, which is on the top left of your keyboard, it's that squiggly line. I select this window, I press the tilde key, and it goes full screen. So I can see a little bit more information across my entire screen. And what I want to do, what I want to know, of course, the frame rate I think is very important because it actually switches. You can see here, some clips are 23.976, some clips are 59.94, so it's helpful to know which clips are which. I also would like the video info. That is also very useful to me. So I'll literally just take the video info column and drag it over. And maybe the video duration as well. So now the first 3 columns are frame rate, video info, and video duration. And I'll go ahead and press tilde again to minimize that. Frame rate is essentially how many photos per second does the video display? Here's an example. So let's go to the first one over here. And you can see here that I double clicked on this file and it popped up in the source window. So now I can have a little preview of what is in this file. You can also see over here on the right, this is the length of the entire clip. So the clip is 1 minute and 23 seconds. But right now I am at 0000. If I click the right arrow on my keyboard and I just nudge the playhead, which is this blue line right here, this little blue tick, it's called a playhead or a current time indicator if you're being correct. So if I on my keyboard just go to the right, it'll go forward 1 frame. And if I do that 24 times, it should get me 1 second of video. So I'll do that right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 1 second. So basically in this video, it's displaying 24 frames during 1 second, but you can see later here, we have some 60 frame per second clips. So if I pull one of those up and I do it 24 times, it will not get to 1 second. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 60, right? So it takes 60 photos to get to 1 second of footage. All of these that are 59.94, by the way, let's just say 60, right? To make it easy, 60 frames per second. All of them are B-roll clips, meaning they are additional footage. They are not part of the primary bulk of the video. You can see they're clips of the art on the wall. So let's give them a color. Let's make them a different color so that later we can differentiate them a little bit. So I'm going to select the first one, shift, select the last one, that selects all of them. I could either do that or I can draw a box around them too by just holding down my mouse and drawing a box. And over here where the colors are, I can right click, go to label, and give it a label like, I don't know, let's do magenta. Okay, so now we know all the magenta clips are 59.94. Now let's go to all of the clips labeled A over here, so that's A camera. And let's also change that label color. Let's do mango. Okay. Great. So now we have 3 different colors. We have A, we have B, and then we have our also A cam, but these are our 60 frames per second clips. When I go into icon view, I won't be able to see the colors, but I will be actually able to see the icons. So that is also super helpful to me. As you can see, all the clips are actually in one giant void right now. There's no organization to them besides that we've given them some colors. So let's start making folders and start organizing our footage over here. And folders in Premiere Pro are called bins. So don't get that confused. It's just bins. We can go down here to new bin icon, and there's a bin. Let's call it O1 footage. Now, why did I put an O1 in there? Well, because sometimes you have more than one bin, right? We'll do another bin called O2 audio. And we'll do another bin called O3 sequences. And maybe a fourth one, O4 graphics. O5 music. And if I only wrote the names of these bins and I didn't put numbers in front of them, when I arranged them alphabetically, they would be all willy-nilly, right? Audio would be first. But because I did it this way, this kind of lets me control the order of things. So I'll go ahead and in this footage bin, I'll go ahead and select all the actual footage and I'll put it into the footage bin. To create a new sequence, I could go up here to File, New, Sequence. I could also do the shortcut Control N, Or I can go here to the new item button, new item sequence. So I'll go over here to new sequence, but first I'll actually select the sequence bin. That way the new sequence just goes into my sequence bin. New sequence. And I'll get this box. Now, don't worry, there's all of these wonderful presets here, so you don't really have to think too hard about what the sequence settings should be. My recommendation, just go to the very first one, Ari, which is a camera manufacturer, here 1080p, and choose the very, very first one. This is going to be your standard size and look for a YouTube video. And then for the sequence name, you guessed it, I'm going to do 01 as the leader because then everything is alphabetized to my liking. I'm going to say 01 and string out. Now, a string out is all of your clips arranged in order, essentially. And it helps you kind of see everything and put it on a timeline before you go ahead and start playing with everything. So you can see that it added a sequence here. You can see it's also blank. And I can tell it's blank because there's nothing in the program monitor. So let's put some stuff in there. Let's go into our footage bin, double click, and let's put up our ACAM footage. So I can either just drag it over one by one like this, or I'm going to undo by pressing Command Z, Command Z. I can select the first one, Shift select the last one, and put it in there. So far, I'm only going to do my ACAM footage. And here we go, it's in there. If I want to see the actual thumbnails of what I'm looking at in the actual sequence, all I have to do is hover my mouse between V1 and V2. This stands for video. And of course the A stands for audio, right? So just hover between V1 and V2. And there you go. The thumbnails appear. But we have a problem. What is the problem? Well, look, the actual file, you can see the table, the edge of the table, and a little beyond it. But here it's all zoomed in. What is happening? Well, let's go to the video info to see. Here in video info, it's going to tell us the dimensions of each of our clips. And the dimensions are 4K. So 3840 by 2160. What does that mean? Well, it literally means the amount of pixels across the top of the video and along the side of the video. So every piece of video footage, in fact, every photo or anything that is made out of dots of color called pixels has dimensions. And so this just tells us the dimensions. So there's 3840 by 2160, which means 3840 across the top and 2160 across the side. But what about this sequence? Well, if we go to sequence settings, we can actually see what the frame size of the sequence is. And it's 1920 by 1080. So the sequence is a lot smaller than the clip that we put into it. How much smaller? Well, it's 4 times smaller. So if you think about it in terms of surface area, 4 1080 windows can fit into one 4K window. So if we're going to make sure that this is the same size as our sequence, we got to change the size. We got to scale it down a little bit. Let's go into Effect Controls, which is a tab up here. Now, don't worry, the source is still up there. So let's go to Effect Controls. Let's select our clip here. And over here in the very first batch of controls are the motion controls. And you can see here at scale, it says 100. If we hover over that number 100 and we drag it to the right, it scales in. If we drag it to the left, it scales down. Now, instead of trying to guess, okay, how much do I need for it to scale properly? We can just go right click, set to frame size, and it knows for us. We also could have guessed because it's exactly 50, right? We could do that to every single one of these. We can type in 50, or we could right click and go set to frame size. But we can also just select all of them, right click and do set to frame size. And now they're all properly scaled. But are they? Because you can still see the edges of the table here, right? We don't want each clip to be exactly the same size as the frame because there's all this extra over here that's ugly we want to get rid of. We only want to see the tabletop. So what are we going to do? Well, we'll choose any of them. It doesn't matter which because the camera doesn't move the entire time, right? So choose whichever and then use that scale slider to scale it up so that we only see the top of the table. Perfect. Now what we can do is we can copy paste this motion control across all of them. So we'll select the word motion over here. We'll go Command C. Then we'll select all of them, Command V. So now they are all resized. Let's say that we want to make sure that the content that we have here is in the middle of our frame. Right now, it's kind of to the bottom right. We can go over here to position. So we can use these sliders for the X and Y coordinates. We can reposition this. Okay, great. But it is a little bit skewed. It's kind of skewing to the left a little bit. So we can go over here to rotation, rotate it ever so slightly, maybe 2 degrees. That looks perfect. Okay, cool. So now we've changed the position, we've changed the scale, and we've changed the rotation. So let's add those numbers to the other 3 clips by selecting the word motion, Command C for copy, select the other ones, Command V for paste, and now that same thing has been applied to all of them. Now you notice that when we dragged these 4 clips over here, they came with audio, right? And if you select each of these clips, what happens is that the audio gets selected too. And in this video, we don't want any audio. So how do we make sure that we get rid of the audio? Well, there's a bunch of ways to do this. The first way to do it is we can simply mute this track by pressing M. So if we mute this track, we won't be able to hear it. We can also unlink the audio. Right now, you can see this little V in brackets. That means that the video and the audio are linked. But if we right click and go to unlink, now they're separate and they are not linked. You can do that to all of them, by the way, by drawing a box, selecting them. You can also select all of them by going Command A, select all. Right click, unlink. So now they're all unlinked. You can also do it with a shortcut. So Command L will unlink them for you. Instead of right clicking and going to unlink, you can also hold down Option or Alt and draw a box and select only the audio and delete it. Another way to unlink without physically going to unlink is just deselect link selection over here, and then nothing that's linked will be linked. But it'll still be there so that it can be linked again. But you can deselect link selection and delete, and then select that again. So lots of different ways to get rid of the audio. The point is that now we just have the video clips to work with and not the audio. You can see here that the video right now is 20 minutes long because we put all our clips, but we haven't cut any of them yet. So the actual length of the footage is 20 minutes long. And where the current time indicator is written right here. So if we move the time indicator across, these numbers change. We can also move the time indicator over here in the program monitor. So if we move this left to right, you can see the line at the bottom also moves. Now, if your computer is struggling with these files, you can also change your resolution that you're playing this back at. So over here, this is right now playing at 1/4 resolution. This doesn't mean that in the end your video will look like it's at 1/4 resolution. This is just for you when you're editing to be able to lighten the load on your computer a little bit. So if you're using those 4K files, maybe you're on a really old laptop, I would highly recommend viewing it at a quarter resolution. I'm going to move it actually back up to full so that you can see it a little bit better. Let's say that we don't actually want to disturb this string out at all. We don't want to do any cuts right here. Maybe we want to preserve this because, I don't know, it has some data in it. We changed some motion control, so maybe we want to preserve this. Let's duplicate the sequence and work on the duplicate instead. This is a way to kind of save your work as you go and edit non-destructively. So the first thing I'm going to do, I know that this tab, this string out, this sequence, I know where it is, right? I know it's over here in the project in the bin called sequences, but let's say I didn't know that. Let's say I had like a million sequences. I didn't know where to find it. So I would just right click and go to reveal sequence in project. It would show me exactly where that sequence is. Now I want to duplicate it. So I right click, go to duplicate. So now I have a second one. Let's name it O2 selects. Double click and it opens it up right here, the duplicate. So both of these are exactly the same, but I'm going to work on the second one. So the whole point of this first shot is that I want all of these items to pop into the shot. But at the beginning, they're actually all laid out. So what I want to do is kind of reverse the footage. Start with the end and end with the beginning. And it's pretty easy to reverse it. You guessed it. Right click. So right click, speed duration, and reverse speed. Press OK. So now the beginning's at the end and the end's at the beginning. And how do I know that my speed's been reversed? Well, you can see over here in brackets, it says -100%. That's the speed. The speed is exactly reversed.